My name is Ben, and I'm an addict. In my life, I've abused numerous drugs, including the painkillers, OxyContin, and Percocet. And I'm not alone. Over 2 million Americans struggle with opioids, making this the worst epidemic of addiction in American history.
Anybody who's grown up in America has known people who struggled with it, may have had some struggles of their own.
It's time that we address this problem, and this documentary is about how.
I've been clean for 15 months. We're all alive. And that's something to be grateful for.
How can an addict get help?
I came from where you're at right now. If you're hungry, come on out.
How can family and friends support us?
She is a very kind soul. She's just trapped right now.
And what should the government do?
We have to treat this not as a moral failing, but as a public health problem that can be solved.
To bring about the end of an epidemic.
My drug dealer was a doctor. Tried to kill me for a dollar.
I first got clean and sober in 2008. I would love to sit in front of the camera and tell you that I went to treatment in 2008 and that was the last time that I've put a drug into my body. And that's just not the case. I've had numerous relapses and will always struggle with addiction. This is a lifelong disease. I need to work at this thing every single day, and that's the only way that I will potentially continue to live it one day at a time.
How you been?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Waking up a little bit.
It's super important to have a support group.
How you doing? Nice to meet you, Ben.
So it's extremely important for me to get to a meeting.
Okay, welcome everybody. I invite each of us to bring our truth here to benefit others, right? So, who would like to launch us on this shared journey?
I'm Justin, I'm an addict.
Justin.
I broke my wrist, and then it caused me to get my first prescription of Vicodin. And I'd heard about people getting hooked, and I never thought it would happen to me. I was convincing myself it wasn't a problem. I found out that I was full of and
Thank you, Justin. So glad you're here.
My name's Garrick. I graduated high school, started training in MMA. I got injured, and I ran into an old friend, and he was already well into his addiction with OxyContin, and he introduced it to me. Even within that few months, grabbed a hold of me completely, and I just spiraled out of control.
Painkillers for me were interesting because when I was in high school, they weren't really readily available. And over time, OxyContin got introduced.
I started using OxyContin opiates at 17. I was just a pothead, you know what I mean? Ecstasy, but then when the opiates hit, that's where it took place for me, you know what I mean?
Kids that I grew up with, I really loved and respected, overdosed.
I remember in the 5th grade, I came home and I was just going through my mom's medicine cabinet, and that's when I started opiates. Like, by the grace of God, I'm in this seat today because I've lost 11 of my really close friends to this disease.
We are living through the worst epidemic of addiction in American history. And the drugs causing the most deaths? Legal prescription opioids like OxyContin, Percocet, and Vicodin. How did so many of us get addicted to painkillers, and why are so many Americans dying from drug overdoses? To find out, you have to go back to the early 90s. Before that time, doctors generally considered opioids dangerous. But in 1996, a company called Purdue Pharma released a new drug, OxyContin. Purdue spent hundreds of millions of dollars to convince doctors that OxyContin was safe and not addictive. Their marketing strategy worked. Prescriptions for OxyContin skyrocketed. But Purdue's claim that OxyContin was safe and not addictive just wasn't true. As sales skyrocketed, so did addiction, overdoses, and death. Users also found that they built up a tolerance to OxyContin and other prescription opioids. And that's where heroin comes in. Heroin is an opioid like OxyContin, so lots of people who built up a tolerance to prescription painkillers moved on to heroin. And today, more Americans are addicted to heroin and die from it than ever before.
I just wanted to say personally how much it means to me and to the recovery community that you are taking time out to talk about the disease of addiction. And the first time that I was ever introduced to opiates was through my mom's medicine cabinet through pharmaceutical drugs.
Right.
And it led me down a very long trajectory of pain to the point that I didn't even want to live anymore.
Right.
And I'm wondering, for you, have you had any personal relationship with addiction?
I think that anybody who's grown up in America has known people who struggled with it, may have had some struggles of their own. I had a lot of close friends who ended up having to go through the recovery process. But the reason that we've been really focusing on this opioids issue is this is an area where the incidence of people dying from overdoses is actually spiking. 2014, we saw more people die of drug overdoses than die of car accidents.
Crazy.
And the majority of those were opioids. And part of the reason why I wanted to have this conversation is to send a message that for them to seek help is the strong thing to do.
Yeah.
My name is Lindsay. I'm an addict.
Lindsay.
I got a neck injury, when I was 12, and the doctor prescribed Vicodin to me, and I was like, wow, I don't feel anything. And so from that point on, I was like, I'm not taking Tylenol, I'm not taking ibuprofen, I only want Vicodin. And after that, I was introduced to OxyContin. And the first time that I did it, it was like my one true love. Like, I hate to romanticize it, but that's really honestly how I felt at the time, and I would do it until my nose was bleeding. Then I got introduced to heroin. I swear to God, I never would do it. I was never gonna be a junkie like that person. I was never gonna be like that guy. I was never gonna steal or rob but I lost everything in a matter of 4 months as soon as I tried dope for the first time. My job, custody of my kid. And I didn't want to be like that anymore because I knew that wasn't me. I was a good girl. I went into detox April 8th, 2011. My clean date is April 9th, 2011. I celebrated 5 years clean on April 9th. So I just dove right into service work. Started a nonprofit in 2013 called Hope Soldiers, which helps people who don't have money or insurance. I've been able to help my friends get clean and get into treatment. And I'm grateful for every opportunity that I have to do that. And I'm grateful to be here today with all of you guys. You guys mean a lot to me, so thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay.
I wonder if that guy's hungry.
Hey guys, you hungry? I got some sandwiches in the back of my car. I've got sandwiches, Gatorades, water. So guys, we help people struggling get into treatment for free. My phone number is on here. If you need resources for treatment, can I give you a hug? Yeah.
I know it's hard out here. I have 5 years clean from heroin.
You have kids?
Yep.
You want to see them again?
Oh, yeah.
I can help you.
It's really important for addicts to know you're not alone,
I'll go, yeah. Okay.
that you are a person worthy of love, honor, dignity, and respect.
You got more friends out here?
I do.
Where they at? Are they in the woods? We are gonna head across the street because there is a camp back there where homeless people live. Don't feel weird about it, dude. Like, I came from where you're at right now. So I got some food for you if you're hungry. Come on out.
God bless you guys, really. It's amazing. Did you eat yet, Chris?
Yeah.
You already ate? I definitely didn't want to be a heroin addict. You know, I don't
Yeah.
ever remember saying I'm going to do heroin, ever. Like, honestly, I feel like right now I'm the biggest black sheep in my family. Like, not
Yeah,
like the
of course.
only, not the only, but it's like you said, I put myself there.
Would you be interested in going to like a transitional living treatment center?
Yeah, because I almost feel like I might need that. And
Can we come back and visit you more?
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a hug because that's what I do.
Yeah. Thanks for the hug. That's awesome.
Yep. You guys stick together. Stay together.
We will. Yeah.
Okay.
We're facing an epidemic in our country right now, and it's going to take some compassion to help those of us out there who are feeling alone right now.
Love you.
Love you.
For me, when I was a teenager, I used drugs, I drank. I pretty much tried whatever was out there. But I was in Hawaii, and it was a pretty relaxed place. And I was lucky that I did not get addicted, except to cigarettes, which took me a long time to kick. But it does seem as if the speed with which you can get hooked on opiate-based medicines is fierce. And I don't know whether that was an experience that you had as well.
I was on Percocet.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, I'm doing it every day to the point where I had this dependency. And I remember the guy that I was getting them from didn't have any more. And he said, but I had this other thing, it's called Oxycontin. Within a week, I was isolated in my room doing this drug just to stay alive in a way.
Well, I tell you, we've now had conversations with high school athletes who, you know, hurt a knee and they're taking a few of these painkillers, and next thing you know, they're going through just what you went through and doing things that they would never believe they were capable of doing in order to get more of those drugs.
Addiction is not a choice. That's especially true for opioids. To understand why, you have to look at the way they work in the brain. Your body actually produces natural opioids. When you're hurt, they attach to the receptors in your brain and reduce your pain. But natural opioids only work on low levels of pain. Prescription opioids work basically the same way, but they're more powerful, so they help you deal with major pain. But their increased power comes with a big downside. Prescription opioids also cause a massive release of dopamine, a chemical that helps your brain recognize things you need for basic survival, like food or water. So heavy use of opioids can actually train your brain into thinking you need them just to survive. That explains why so many opioid-addicted people seem like they'll do anything to get them. The good news, though, is that our brains can bounce back. When an addicted person goes into long-term recovery, the brain slowly stops seeing opioids as something needed for survival. And an addicted person can slowly begin to live a life that's not dictated by opioids.
Hi, I'm Elena. I'm a heroin addict.
Hi, Elena.
This is my first time sharing at a meeting. And I'm still like struggling through this. I started smoking heroin like my summer of my senior year. I went like a year smoking heroin like every day. I never went a day without it. I'd be praying to God, like, please God, like, help me, I will never do this again. But then there I am the next day doing it again. I'm like ready to be clean and give up heroin because it's just not the life I want to live anymore. And you've like really, like, you're like a blessing in my life. I probably wouldn't be alive without you. Yeah.
You're in the right place. Beautiful.
I feel like every time I would like, get clean before, it'd be for like my mom or like everyone else. But this time it's like for me. And I'm going to see a Suboxone doctor. I'm just gonna try and see if it helps so I don't keep going back to heroin. Can I go to the bathroom?
Is there anything else you need to do before we go?
I just feel like cold and hot.
Do you need anything?
I don't know what's going on with you, and I need to make sure that you're okay, because if you're like overly dehydrated or something like that and it's coming out both ends, we got to get you in and at least get some fluids. I'm gonna call your mom, okay? I want to take you to the ER because she took something. I just need your arms over my neck. Tell me if you feel sick, okay?
She does not want to be like this anymore at all. She's got a lot of greatness inside of her. She is a very kind soul, and she's just trapped right now. I'd like to help her get into treatment again because I think that if she continues to use this, she will die.
It wasn't until I finally went to treatment that I got the help that I needed. But if it wasn't for my parents being able to help me out with treatment and afford this expensive rehab facility, then I wouldn't be here right now talking to you.
You know, so many people around the country, when they're ready to try it, they got to wait 3 months, 6 months, a year to get into a facility.
Detox facility.
Well, we've got to create an environment in which when folks are ready, that it's there. And you got to have a situation in which if you don't succeed the first time, that there's follow-up. And this is especially true in underserved communities, rural communities. You know, sometimes if somebody's got to drive 2 hours or 3 hours to the closest rehab center, they're going to lose the motivation. You know, we've got to be able to be there for people as they're trying to fight back against this.
Here's what we know about drug treatment. First, addiction is treatable. There are 23 million people in recovery right now who are living proof. Second, there's no one-size-fits-all treatment. Some people might need medication, like Suboxone or Vivitrol or Methadone, and most people need treatment for other medical or psychological issues at the same time. Third, treatment has to be long-term. Studies show that people who get years of follow-up support are much more likely to maintain their recovery. Fourth, treatment works best when it's available as soon as someone says they need it. But here's the problem. Only 1 out of 10 people who have an addiction get the treatment they need. People who do want treatment face roadblocks, like waiting time. And about 1/3 of the people who need drug treatment have no health insurance and no way to afford it. and very few treatment programs use up-to-date addiction science and medicine. But thanks to the hard work of the recovery community and advocates, we're starting to fix those problems. Because of government action, the number of people without insurance is dropping. More treatment programs are catching up to current addiction science and medicine. Treatment is becoming more available, but we've got to keep pushing for change until everyone with an addiction has immediate access to quality, affordable care without shame and without barriers. That's the goal.
Are you going to be okay to walk? Under you okay? Do you want to keep your sweatpants on, honey? You want to sleep for a bit? You want that? I'll get you a towel. This is what I found under her bathroom rug. Right there. You can smell it. It smells like
Vinegar?
Vinegar, yeah. I've screamed and yelled at her. I've gotten so angry. I've cried. I've pleaded and I've begged. And none of it matters. So about a week and a half ago, I just told her, I said, I just leave you in God's hands. That's all I can do. And I told somebody that at work, even today, that I'm sure I'll probably end up burying my daughter. And it kills me.
Last time we had an intervention and gave her no choice but to go to treatment. And I think if she was under that same amount of pressure that she would go. But I think that she needs to make a decision to do it without the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
The real reason why people go to treatment is to get that 30 days or that 28 days. Because it's, your brain only starts healing at 30 days. I want her to know that it truly would probably be the best thing for her. It doesn't matter how many times you go to treatment, it's literally the amount of time away, the amount of time that your brain has to heal.
Can I call Jeff at Foundations?
Oh. Are you ready to say yes to treatment, honey?
What if I don't feel good enough to go yet?
Well, no, you would have to get a little bit stronger than what you are right now. Get over it. It just doesn't seem like you can do this on your own.
What is it that's making you not want to go, or that you are hesitant about? Because I honestly thought that you would be willing after this.
Just think about it.
When I actually got out of treatment, I didn't know how to be honest about something that I was kind of shameful of. Right. And I think that there's such a stigma around admitting that you have a problem, that this addiction is real. What do you think about that, and how can we get over the stigma that we have around treatment in America?
Well, part of the reason why I wanted to have this conversation is to send a message to folks who hopefully are watching this and may be going through their own struggles, and letting them know, look, it's not a sign of weakness, because all of us at some stage can get ourselves into a dark place. So we really want to encourage people to tell their stories about what it means to recover, and to show that folks can fight through this. That makes all the difference in the world.
Let's get your shoes in there.
I decided to go to rehab because I just want to get away from the area and let my mom have some peace of mind and like focus on my recovery.
Okay, well that's good for now. I'm glad she's going. I think she really needs this just to get out of the area, away from the drugs, all of her contacts. I think it'll be very good for her and hopefully give her more tools to fight the addiction.
Did you use? Really, you look like.
She's going where she needs to go to get the help that she needs to get. And so if what she did is helping her to go where she needs to go, then who am I to judge?
This has been a long, hard journey.
All right.
Bye.
Good luck.
Thank you.
And all I can do really is be here to support her and encourage her, because this is her journey. I can't do it for her. She has to do it for herself.
The tragedy of how we've been dealing with the war on drugs generally over the last 30 years is that we haven't emphasized treatment, recovery, treated it as a public health problem, but have so often thought of this just as a criminal law problem and a throw folks in jail problem that not only ruins the child's life, but also is hugely expensive for society. And we end up being penny wise and pound foolish.
Right.
The good news is that awareness is starting to rise.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, part of what's starting to change is that the opioids crisis is getting into communities that are suburban, that are relatively well-to-do, rural communities, white communities, and people's kids who are being affected are folks who have a voice. And they're starting to recognize that generally how we've dealt with the reduction of addiction and drugs has been oftentimes counterproductive, and that we need to shift a lot more resources into treatment.
Yeah.
But we're still way short of where we need to be.
Right.
America is slowly shifting from seeing addiction as a crime to seeing it as a disease, and that's great. But the uncomfortable truth is that a lot of that change is due to who's getting addicted. Before the prescription painkiller epidemic, many Americans wrongly thought drugs like heroin were only a problem for communities of color. So about half of Americans supported tough-on-crime drug laws. And our government spent most of its drug budget on law enforcement, which disproportionately locks up people of color. But today's prescription painkiller epidemic is hitting white people hard. White people and Native Americans have the highest rates of deaths from opioids. And when white people are suffering from addiction, Americans are more likely to see it as a disease instead of a crime. So now, 2 out of 3 Americans support treatment over punishment. And today, federal and state governments are slowly moving resources away from law enforcement and into treatment. Regardless of the motivation, the shift from seeing addiction as a criminal justice issue to seeing it as a public health issue is a needed change. For the millions of people locked up right now because of addiction, it's a change that can't come fast enough.
I'm Mana and I'm an opiate addict. I live up on a reservation. It's small, like a small town. I started using opiates right after I had my daughter. I just was about to turn 18. I lost my daughter a year after that. I got clean from coming out of jail, and all I could sit there and think about, man, my kid's, her birthday is next month. I'm about to miss it. I just got her back this last August. I've been clean off heroin for 15 months.
Right on.
And she still thinks that mom's gonna leave. I'm grateful to wake up in the morning to listen to my 4-year-old daughter wake me up, Mom, I want cereal, And it's just like, It's good to see you guys all here. That's all I got.
So glad you're here. Thank you so much.
I've lived on the reservation my whole life. We carry a lot of traditions, but we also have a really bad drug problem here. I would say I was like 12 when pills hit, and it just took a toll on the tribe. My dad was the very first person I ever smoked dope with. I was using Vicodin, Percocet, but he did heroin as well. He was like, man, Vonna, I'm telling you, you're missing out. You know, it's 20 times more better, 20 times more cheaper. And I was dumb and I was gullible and I was dope sick. And I was withdrawing so bad that I was like, all right, whatever. And once I took that first hit, there was no going back. You waking up yet? No? Okay. I want to make yeast rolls.
That could be next after I teach you how to make fur bread.
I go to behavioral health with the tribe, and they pay for it, which I'm grateful for, because if it wasn't for them, I don't know where I'd be. I don't know how I'd stay sober.
I was thinking about just like, dang, just how far you've come.
Yeah, coping, man. I don't know how to cope yet.
No, you're doing actually a really good job. You do have a lot of people on your side.
You.
Your daughter? She'll always be on your side.
Oh, yeah. She loves me unconditionally.
Mm-hmm. What does that feel like?
That is like, I will sacrifice my whole life for her.
We're never fixed.
Yeah,
We're never
exactly.
done. I've been clean for almost 6 years and I'm still not fixed. I'm still not done.
That's what I'm saying. Now that I've learned from my mistakes, I've grown to be a better person, because ain't nobody perfect in this world. And I ain't trying to be perfect. I'm just trying to be better for my kid.
All right. All right. Have a fun day. Yeah, you too. I'll see you on Monday.
All right. Love you.
This is not an area where the medical community has given as much thought to it as it should have. In some communities, if you don't have regular health care, you get a bum shoulder. Instead of getting it treated, getting rehab on the shoulder, all you've got the money or the time to do is to get a bottle of pills.
It's cheaper, yeah.
It's cheaper. And so you have real pain that has to be managed, but the cure ends up being worse than the ailment that you had. Part of what we have been doing is working with medical schools and nursing schools to expand the curriculum around prescribing of drugs and make sure that doctors and nurses understand and are working with people about the dangers, because we've got to do something different.
Right.
Right now, doctors write about 260 million prescriptions for opioids a year, enough to give every adult American a bottle of pills. Most opioid prescriptions are written by well-meaning doctors who just want to help their patients with pain. So why do they write so many more prescriptions than necessary? For one thing, doctors rarely know if their patient has a history of addiction, and they usually don't know if a patient already got a prescription for opioids from another doctor. Some state governments are trying to fix those problems. Some created online databases that doctors can check to see if their patient already has an opioid prescription. And the federal government recently released new guidelines for how doctors should prescribe opioids. Those fixes might be working. After 20 years of going straight up, the number of opioid prescriptions in America is finally starting to decline. But we have to do our part too. If I sprain my ankle, I shouldn't go looking for a pill to fix it. Sometimes pain is okay. The tide of opioid overprescribing is starting to turn, and we can all be part of the solution.
In the beginning, you go through detox, which is an assessment. They gave me Suboxone so I could detox, so I didn't go through any withdrawals. And then you move over to where you go to groups every hour, and everything's just more fast-paced. So these are just my morning medications that were prescribed to me when I was in rehab. I have to take vitamin D because I was vitamin D deficient. And then gabapentin, which is for anxiety. When I was there, I learned that this is a disease and I am powerless over it. It feels good to be like my own person again and be home and getting ready. Because before I went to rehab, I would not even I know it sounds disgusting, but I didn't shower for like weeks or get ready. I was living but not living, if that makes sense. It just feels really good to kind of have my old self back again.
And you're going to do the morning group, correct?
Correct.
The first thing that we want to do is establish a support network for you. So that would be what the main focus is in getting you stable. So it gives you the opportunity to just kind of get grounded and back into the structure of life without having the 24/7 structure.
Okay.
You can come right in here. So this will be your group room.
Hey!
I missed you.
I missed you too.
I'm so glad you're okay.
You look good.
Thank you, I feel good.
Your face is like full.
I know. That was my butt.
Let me see it.
Look at it.
Nice.
Sometimes treatment doesn't work the first time, sometimes it does. But I mean, for her, this was her third time. And maybe she just needed that, you know?
How are you?
Sometimes it takes 5 to 10 times of going to treatment before you realize that you're really, really done.
Oh, that's so good. That's really good.
I'm honestly glad that I went through this. As horrible as it sounds, I just think that it was a good wake-up call for me, for my mom, and I'm just glad that I have the support system that I do.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks, Mom.
I love you.
Love you.
Okay.
I'm Ben, I'm an alcoholic addict. I use like everyone else did. I started with, weed and alcohol and graduated slowly into a plethora of different drugs. But that lasted with me through fame and success and money, and I'm just an addict. The only way that I can stay sober is if I show up to meetings. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to show up today.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ben. I would like to suggest that we end with the Serenity Prayer. Would that be cool?
It's time that we end our opioid problem. We need Big Pharma to be honest about the products that they are selling us. We need doctors to prescribe opiates only when they're absolutely necessary. We need to think of addiction as a treatable medical condition so people can openly ask for help like they would for any illness. We need to improve treatment so it's scientific and long-term. We need to shift money away from incarceration and into expanding treatment so everyone has access as soon as they need it.
Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
I do have hope. I think that there is a shift right now in consciousness just around the idea of what addiction is.
Can I hug you? Okay.
And I don't look at it as failing either. I look at it as part of my process, part of my journey.
If you or a friend are struggling with drugs or alcohol, head to halfofus.com for ways to get help.
My drug dealer was a doctor, had the plug from Big Pharma. He said that he would heal me, but he only gave me problems. My drug dealer was a doctor, had the plug from Big Pharma. I think he trying to kill me, tried to kill me for $1.